Okay. Deep breaths. Everyone stay calm. No sharp objects, no leaky sinks, no unattended flames, because yes, we are once again dancing with death. Welcome back to Curtis's Corner, where I dive into horror films so you don't have to die trying to make sense of them. Today's installment, Final Destination Bloodlines, or as I like to call it, the family reunion nobody asked for. This movie really said, you thought cheating death once was bad? Try dealing with generational trauma and paranormal math. Because now, death has Excel spreadsheets and it's cleaning house and the entire bloodline attached to it. Ancestry.oops. But before we roll into this montage of chaos and carnage, you already know what I'm going to say. Like this video if you appreciate this kind of high-stakes nonsense. Subscribe if you know better than to get on a roller coaster post-premonition, and ring that bell because death might be random, but my posting schedule isn't. Also, please be a real one and head over to my Patreon. Just $2 a month gets you early, unedited access to my videos. Raw, chaotic, and before I glue on all the backgrounds and effects. You'll also get to vote on what I review next, which means you literally have the power to control fate. Take that, death. And if you missed my review for The Thunderbolts or my interview with my friend Max from Juliet and Romeo, go catch up. It's giving cinematic serotonin. All right, let's get morbid. So the premise this time is kind of brilliant, but the execution, a bit like a Final Destination trap gone wrong. Overly complicated, unnecessary, and someone's definitely losing a limb by the end. We open in the 1960s where a couple narrowly escapes death thanks to a premonition. Sound familiar? Because it should. We've been here before, but here's the new twist. Death doesn't just want them. It wants everyone that came from them. Yes, this isn't just a death list, it is a family tree on fire. Now let's flash forward to present day, and the descendants of those 1960s survivors are now in death's crosshairs, because apparently survival skips a generation, or three. Now to clarify, the movie doesn't bounce between timelines like some caffeinated time traveler with commitment issues. It spends the first 20 minutes fully immersed in the 1960s, setting up the original premonition and its consequences. After that, however, it shifts firmly into the present day, only sprinkling in brief flashbacks to the 60s whenever a character references the original event. Think of them more as haunting reminders than full timeline hopping. Now listen, the concept, I actually like it. It's fresh, it's lore building, it's giving Final Destination meets Hereditary, but without the Oscar buzz. The problem is that the rules aren't clear. The mythology they try to establish about death's lineage design is like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while blindfolded, with one hand, in the dark, on a roller coaster. It's not that it's hard to follow, it's that it's hard to care when the movie keeps changing the stakes every 5 minutes. 1 second it's about a curse. The next, it's about time. Then it's back to they cheated death, and suddenly I need a whiteboard and a conspiracy map to keep up. But right now, let's talk about the reason we all show up to these films. The deaths. Oh, and these are the roller coaster moments of the franchise. The parts where we all scream, "Oh no!" and then whisper,
"Wait, that was kind of iconic."
So how did Bloodlines do? Mixed bag. Bag of bones, if you will. There are a few deaths in this movie that genuinely made me gasp, like one moment in a backyard barbecue. Chef's kiss horrifying. And then there's a scene in a tattoo shop where death clearly said, let's turn this place into an Olympic level chain reaction of chaos. And honestly, I was perched. But then there are others that are cartoonish. One in particular made me laugh so hard I wish I could have paused. And trust me, that was not the intended reaction. I'm talking how did we get here energy. The real issue is the effects. Practical effects? Gorgeous. CGI? Abomination. It's like the movie couldn't decide what it wanted to be. Some deaths start off beautifully brutal, and then the CGI swoops in, like, allow me to ruin this moment with a video game filter. Everything looks too clean, too polished, too digital. It's giving Sims 4 murder mod instead of Final Destination Dread. Even when they do use practical gore, they smother it in effects so shiny and oversaturated, it looks less like a horror movie and more like a high-budget theme park ride. It's giving death by Instagram filter. Glossy, fake, and trying way too hard to look expensive. Alright, let's talk about this film's final destination of character development, shall we? Because some of these people were fully fleshed out, emotionally resonant individuals, and others were basically just walking red shirts, waiting to be yeeted by fate. Now, while a handful of characters, let's say the core 4, actually feel like real people with emotions, motives, and more than 2 lines of dialogue, the rest of the cast, well, they're just here to pad the body count. Human confetti for death to fling at the screen. There's a serious case of character development deficiency syndrome happening here. We've got folks popping in and out like they wandered in from a deleted scene. At one point, a completely unknown character gets referenced as if we're supposed to know who they are. Like the film was gaslighting me into thinking I missed something. Spoiler, I didn't. They did. And don't even get me started on the mystery mom reveal. They build it up like we're about to see some legendary horror icon from a past film step into frame, and then boom, some lady. I literally went, wait, who the hell is this? It's giving big, we were supposed to recognize her, but the budget said no energy. Let's start with our final girl, Steph. Now this is someone I wanted to root for. Caitlin Santawana brings so much emotional gravity to this role that she honestly carries the whole film on her back. Someone get this woman an ice pack and a SAG award nomination, please. She's believable. She's grounded. She reacts like a real person would, which, newsflash, is not always the case in horror. There are moments when you can see her trying to hold it all together, and that vulnerability makes her instantly likable. She's giving Mary Elizabeth Winstead in Final Destination 3 energy. Just enough panic, just enough logic, and a full-on meltdown when necessary. The only frustrating thing about her character is that the writing is a little too inconsistent. Sometimes she's playing detective and spotting Death's plan like she's been watching the whole franchise in 4K. And then suddenly, it's like she's forgotten how doors work. But overall, Steph is one of the most human, compelling leads we've had in this series in a long time. I'd follow her out of a burning building and into a premonition. Now on to Charlie, played by Teo Briones, Steph's younger brother. And let me just say, what a surprisingly solid character arc. When we first meet him, he's angsty, moody, and emotionally distant, which immediately had me thinking, okay, he's either dying early or he's going to get a redemption arc. Teo Briones brings a really natural sensitivity to Charlie that doesn't feel forced or overly dramatic. He doesn't believe everything right away, but the second things start lining up, he's in it. And that earns major points in this franchise, where so many characters love to say, "You're crazy," until a ceiling fan slices someone in half. Charlie also has one of the more realistic sibling relationships in the movie. It's not syrupy, but it's not toxic either. It's messy, like real families are. He's not just background noise, he's emotionally invested, and he evolves. I respect it. Now let's talk about Eric, played by Richard Harmon, aka the human version of a Tumblr post from 2011. Covered in tattoos, piercings, brooding stares, and wearing more black than a Hot Topic clearance bin, he should be a cliche, but he's not. Eric ends up being way more layered than the rebellious archetype we've seen before in this franchise. Think Ian from Final Destination 3, but less edgy for edgy's sake and more, I've been through some shit and this is how I cope. He uses humor and sarcasm as a defense mechanism, which I love. He's the kind of character who says, I don't care, while clearly caring so much, and that emotional contradiction makes him super compelling. Plus, eye candy. Let's be real. And yes, while he does deliver some comic relief, it is not slapstick or overdone. It's subtle, it's dry, it works, and he's funny because he's traumatized, not because he's written like a cartoon character. That's called range, sweetie. Okay, now Bobby. Look, I adore Owen Patrick Joyner. I loved him in Julie and the Phantoms, but here, he's kind of a mixed bag. On one hand, he's fun, he's charming, he has a literal pet turtle and a peanut allergy.
Only peanuts!
which I guess is supposed to make him relatable. It definitely adds a new danger element that this franchise hasn't really explored. Finally, death versus a nut allergy. Groundbreaking. But on the other hand, he's barely more than the funny sidekick. He's sweet and likable, sure, but he's written with all the depth of a kiddie pool. He doesn't get a real emotional arc. He's there to be cute, make a few jokes, and react when stuff starts exploding.
I feel fine.
Which is fine, but I wanted more, especially from an actor who's already proven he can handle depth. Now let me be polite. Darlene exists. She's present in the film, and that's about it. Raya Kielstead is a talented actress, but this character is written like someone the writers remembered they had halfway through filming. She's technically Steph's mother and part of the legacy survivors in this film, not the franchise, but she's barely on screen. And when she is, she mostly hovers in the background like an emotionally unavailable sim. There's no real connection between her and Steph beyond the obligatory mother-daughter dynamic. No payoff, no depth. I don't know what her goals were. I don't even know what her favorite color is. Like, girl, do something. Even a dramatic monologue about fate would have helped. Next up, Julia, who I would love to say more about, but the script didn't give her anything to do. She's basically there to be aggressive and throw side eyes. No character growth, no motive, no nuance. She's like if Regina George got lost on the way to a Mean Girls reboot and wandered into a horror film. And look, I don't mind a bit of spice in the cast. We love a shady queen, but Julia wasn't even spicy. She was just bland hostility, no seasoning, just vibes. There's a moment where I genuinely forgot she was in the film until someone called her name. And by the time her fate arrives, it's like, okay, sure, go off, I guess. And finally, the man, the myth, the Undertaker legend, Tony freaking Todd. Seeing him back as William Bloodworth, instant chills. His presence alone adds weight to this movie. Like, death itself just walked into the room and whispered, boo. His voice could make reading the back of a cereal box sound terrifying. That said, I wish they gave him more. He doesn't add much to the lore beyond a vague backstory and recycled dialogue from the other films. I wanted a monologue. I wanted something new. I wanted him to lean in, look the main characters dead in the eye, and say something cryptic that haunts me for days. But instead, it was just a warm wave goodbye, a respectful send-off. Still, it was beautiful to see him one last time. He is iconic, after all, and this film, for better or worse, knows that. Here is something nobody's really talking about, but it needs to be said. This movie is way too clean, like unsettlingly polished. There's zero grain, there's no texture, and not a hint of grit to ground you in the world. Everything looks so pristine. It's like death decided to start killing people inside a home decor showroom. You could practically smell the Febreze. Even the 1960s setting doesn't feel like the 60s. It's less historical horror and more Instagram influencers doing a retro-themed photo shoot. The colors are too crisp. The lighting is soft and sterile, and the whole vibe feels staged. And the green screen moments, I could literally see the outline where the background ends and the actors begin. It's like watching The Sims go to their own funeral. Everything's so saturated and overproduced, it ends up draining the tension instead of building it. You're not scared, you're distracted, wondering if this was the shot in a TikTok studio with the vintage drama filter on. So here's where I land. Final Destination Bloodlines is the bastard child of Final Destination 5 and The Final Destination. It inherited the brains and ambition of the fifth one, but unfortunately, it also picked up the over-polished plastic sheen aesthetic of the fourth. It's like it wanted to be smart and scary, but keeps slipping on its own CGI intestines. It's fun, it's chaotic, and there are definitely some solid performances and juicy ideas tucked in there, but let's be real. Death's plan wasn't the only thing that needed better execution. With all of that being said, I'm giving Final Destination Bloodlines a C+. It had potential, but fate had other plans. It has a great premise with legacy level potential, but the storytelling fumbles like a cracked premonition. There are strong performances, especially Caitlin Santawana and Richard Harmon, who deserved a better script to die in. It's watchable, even entertaining, but it's far too glossy and inconsistent to earn its place among the franchise greats. If you like this video, hell, if you survived this video, go ahead and hit that like button like it's the emergency brake on a death-bound train. Subscribe to the channel for more chaotic movie reviews. Ring that notification bell so you know the second I upload again. I promise no premonitions are required. And again, join my Patreon for just $2 a month. That gets you early, unedited access to all my content before the transitions, backgrounds, and death trap edits go in. And you get to vote on what I cover next. Thank you for watching. Stay fabulous, stay safe, and remember, if someone around you gets a vision of doom, believe them, or you'll end up in the next sequel. Bye, friendships.